Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. The Beast Snaggers box goes up for pre-order tomorrow, so this is the last day of previews before we inevitably get the full set of rules and points tomorrow as the early reviews start to come in. And today, Games Workshop have shown us a few of the rules we can expect for the Ork vehicles, which are coming in their new 9th edition Codex. So let's take a look at what's changed and what new things may be on the way. Up first we have the hilariously awesome and yet useless rule Ramshackle, which previously gave you a 1 in 6 chance of just reducing all damage from an attack to 1. It was incredible on the very rare times that you changed a melter gun or a volcano cannon shot from 6 or 9 damage down to 1, but let's be honest, I don't think anyone ever really relied on it as a realistic rule for keeping your trucks alive. It now has a much better, although still somewhat limited, rule, kind of like Duty Eternal that the Space Marine Dreadnoughts have, where you reduce the damage on incoming attacks by 1. But the downside of this version is that it only affects Strength 7 and below. So there will be no reduced damage from things like Melter or missile launchers or las cannons or anything like that, which makes it sound somewhat useless on the face of it. But the big buff compared to Duty Eternal is that this Ramshackle rule now appears to be on a lot of Ork vehicles, not just trucks, but killer Khans, mech guns, and presumably Death Dreads and all the new buggies as well. So it's less directly useful, but it will help again to keep a larger part of your force alive against things like autocannons, heavy bolters, blasters, venom cannons, and all manner of mid-strength multi-damage weaponry, which in my opinion is actually really quite a significant buff over the previous version. And now, whilst bigger vehicles like Stompers and Gorkanauts don't get the Ramshackle rule, they aren't being left totally out in the cold, and the article gives us a very welcome piece of news in that the Stompa, the big old 800 point plus waste of space that it was before, has now dropped an absolutely massive 175 points to a cost of 675. Will this be enough to give it any serious playtime on the table? I'm still not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but this certainly makes it a lot more of a palatable option for your Ork horde than it is currently, and depending on how its weapons have changed and what gets Daco and heavy and all that kind of stuff, it could well be a reasonably efficient thing to bring, even at that still quite high, let's be honest, 675 point cost. And in addition to that, the not quite so good Knights of the Orks, the Gork and the Morkanaut, have now been buffed to 24 wounds instead of 18, and their melee weapon now swings at a flat 6 damage, so they are much more in line with the Imperial Knights that a lot of people compare them to. So it's a huge improvement over their old 18 wound profile and the d6 damage that they did before. They have, unfortunately, as a result of this, been relegated to the Lord of War slot instead of heavy support, so this does make them a bit harder to easily fit into your lists without spending some extra command points or that kind of thing, but they are certainly going to be a bit more survivable and a bit killier when you do decide to bring them. Are they going to be as good as Knights? Probably still not, in my opinion, but hopefully they will be a little bit cheaper to make up for it. The final thing that they show off in the article today is the brand new Beast Snaggers vehicles, the Kill Rig and the Hunter Rig, and we finally get to see the stat line for the, let's be honest, fantastic looking Kill Rig variant, which comes in with an incredibly beefy Toughness 8, 16 wound Land Raider-esque profile, although obviously with only a 3-up save instead of the 2-up that a Land Raider has. It is definitely a tough looking cookie, and with 6 attacks at weapon skill 3, it looks as though it's going to be very happy indeed getting in nice and close to your enemy to smash their faces in. But on top of that seemingly good combat potential, it looks as though this thing is loaded to the teeth with firepower, having an heavy lobber, a sticker cannon, and that Werboy's tower, all set to be throwing out a huge amount of Dakka onto the battlefield as well. I think that points cost depending, this model could be a pretty great centerpiece model to your Ork list, and it certainly looks, on the face of it again, that it will have not only some very potent melee, but hopefully some great ranged and psychic potential as well on the battlefield, so I am honestly quite hyped to see the rest of the rules for this thing and its points cost, so we can really assess just how good it is going to be in an Ork list. I would say that overall I'm pretty hyped for the Ork Codex, although a load of the leaks and the rumours that I'm sure we've all seen by now have painted something of a bad picture. I do think there is going to be a good amount of potential in the Codex for us to play around with. The big thing, in my opinion, that seems to be lacking and that worries me is that the sheer crazy Ork randomness that most Ork players love has been toned down quite significantly. Ramshackle going to the more stable -1 damage instead of the bonkers potentially ignore a volcano cannon shot is arguably better overall, I think. But is it less orky? Yeah, 100%. The same with the new Daka guns. Will they be better from a rules perspective than fishing for 6s with the old Daka rule? Yeah, I reckon they will overall be better, but half the fun of playing Orks is going for those 6s and going for those crazy wild once in a game events that you can laugh at with your friends whether they go off or not, and that's why they say Ork players never lose, because they're always having fun when they're playing. And to me, whilst I think this codex might be decent, it might be strong, but I just think it's going to be a little bit bland compared to earlier Ork codexes, and for me, that's not what the Orks are about. Win or lose with the Orks, they should at their core be a fun army to play, and everything we've seen so far makes them seem much more like a standard 9th edition army, rather than the outlying, this could go really, really well for you, or you could just completely fail and get wiped off the board turn 1. And whilst some people might not like that, some people might find that frustrating, I think most Ork players embrace that and they know they're either going to win big or they're going to lose big, and that's half the fun of playing them. And I think this codex is going to take quite a significant amount of that away from us, which is what really does worry me. But what do you think of the rules they've shown off today, and are you excited to see the whole codex overall? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I will catch you later, guys.